Hey everybody, in recent hunting community news was the wolf hunt in Wisconsin, a testament to what diligence and perseverance will have when managing wildlife populations. What happened here was wolves were delisted once again on January 4th of 2021. And by law, that means there should have been a wolf hunt. Two groups made this happen. Number one was Hunter Nation, and number two was the Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberty. What they did is they looked at the laws on the books, and they went and lobbied the state, and they actually got this to court, and basically by law this hunt had to happen. Now this was a victory for hunters, but more so this was a victory for wildlife management. Sound, scientific wildlife management won out in the end, and that will help us manage wolves in the future.
May I comment on my brother the wolf? Like the native peoples, the Aboriginal peoples, we consider the wildlife as our brothers, not in a human sense, but in a spiritual sense, because we share the good Mother Earth and we provide for each other. In the case of the wolf, he takes away from our provisions. The reason the wolf was wiped out is because it was eating people and destroying private property and threatening quality of life. If you don't know that, you need to go to the library and stay there for about a year. I respect, if not downright revere, the mighty wolf. But when their populations become unmanaged, which is the case right now, and they are overpopulated, considering that wolves don't have a bag limit, they don't buy licenses, and they don't have a closed season, they will take herbivores, they will take deer and elk and Shiras moose and take them out of the asset column and put them into the liability column. Wolves need to be a game animal immediately. Maximum number of tags need to be available immediately so that there will always be wolves, but never again too many, so that the big game animals remain an asset instead of what wolves turn them into, a liability. Currently, the magnificent wolf is a liability in America. He deserves better. We owe him better. He should be a game animal managed for sustained yield and his own productivity rate. And the wolf should be in the asset column, not the liability column.
So let's make one thing clear here. Wolves are not endangered. The gray wolf is alive and well in North America. There are over 60,000 gray wolves in Canada alone, and there are over 20,000 gray wolves in the United States. When you look at the wolf densities, however, you look at Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, and there's a lot of them there. And like I said before, when they manage wolves, it's not as scientific as managing deer. They have kind of an idea of how many wolves we have, but those numbers, those are minimum counts. And what we know by this hunt in Wisconsin, the hunt was over in 39 hours. Think about that for a second. The entire state of Wisconsin, 72 counties, and the hunt was over in less than 2 days. That shows us that we had more wolves than they thought we had. But the thing that really needs emphasizing here is that what most people have glossed over is, number one, wolves were exterminated from Wisconsin in the 60s, okay? They started coming back in the 70s, and in 1978, the first breeding pair of wolves was found in northern Wisconsin. You fast forward about a decade, the wolf population was really thriving in the Northwoods. We're talking only about a handful of counties in Wisconsin's Northwoods. You got Bayfield, you've got Iron County, you've got Vilas County, the very far northern counties that are almost touching Canada. Well, back then we had wildlife managers, trained biologists said we should have about 250 wolves in northern Wisconsin, 250, and remember that number, before we should start managing them. What happened here is a bunch of anti-hunting groups got involved in the 80s and the 90s, massaged those numbers. It became 350, then it became 550, and now in the early 2000s we actually had 2 wolf hunts, the last one being in 2014. We had over 1,000 wolves minimum then. 1,000 wolves. That's 5 times more, just about, than the original number. So here's a good example of what I'm talking about. When wolf management was first talked about, they were talking about just in the very far northern parts of Wisconsin. This hunt this week, Zone 6, the quota for that whole zone was 17 or 18 animals. In 39 hours, hunters took out 30 animals. They're not supposed to be there. Conflicts with people, conflicts. We lost over 100 dog owners lost their dogs in 2020. Wolves have no fear. They need to be managed. And livestock owners, there's all sorts of things. And it's no different than managing deer. We do that with deer. We manage them in cities so there's not huge populations. And they're causing car accidents. They're causing damage. They're causing disease, things like that. Lots of things at play here. But what we need to remember, the wolf is not endangered. It needs to be managed. And when we do that properly and scientifically, we service the animal, we service the environment, and everything involved.